Welcome to another episode of Adams Eats, folks. How are we doing? I'm well, I hope you are well. Let's jump right into it. This request actually comes from a viewer of mine called Gavin. He made the request on my Facebook page to make this spaghetti bolognese, or tag bowl, I suppose it's called, not spag bowl, because I make it with tagliatelle. I was intending to make this recipe later on, but I brought it forward just for your benefit, Gavin. So thank you for the request, and we'll jump kind of straight into it really. Now, what makes a good tag bowl? Well, the first thing is don't use spaghetti, use tagliatelle or fettuccine. And the reason being is that those two pastas are nice kind of thick ribbon-like texture. And what that does is once the meat sauce is kind of reduced and then mixed with the pasta, it just clings to it better. So you get a much more rounded, better flavour basically. Spaghetti should really be used for cream-based sauces like carbonara. The other tip as well is buy good beef. The better your beef mince, the better your bolognese at the end of it, and also your tomatoes. Now I use passata, but you can use chopped tomatoes, you can use plum tomatoes. Try and get San Marzano if you can find them. A lot of supermarkets do San Marzano these days. That's the type of tomato that's used in these cans, and they're just a nice Italian tomato, nice and sweet, lots of flavour, and they'll make your bolognese better. Okay, and it's a super simple recipe to make. It's just beef mince fried off with a sofrito, and a sofrito is carrot, onion and celery. It's the basis for a lot of dishes around the world, and there's good reason for that because it adds a lot of savoury notes and it adds a lot of sweetness to a dish as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to mix it all together with some red wine, nutmeg, the tomato passata, bay leaf, garlic, all the kind of usual stuff, and we'll simmer it for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then at the end of it, you have gorgeous, thick, delicious bolognese. And yeah, that's kind of it really. I will put all the ingredients in the description below. And if you press pause now, you can make a note down of all the ingredients for your shopping list. So we'll crack on right into it. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna fry off our beef mince. Right, so I've got my frying pan on the heat, and I've got a nice big pot ready as well. I've got a little bit of vegetable oil in here. Just get it nice and hot, okay? And then you just want to add your beef mince in. You may want to do it in batches depending on how big your frying pan is, because if you just kind of throw it all in, it will just kind of stew rather than fry. Because you want to get that nice browning on the mince. Just kind of dot it in, right? Just start to break it up. Okay, you want a nice brown colour on this mince. You will start to get a bit of fat and a bit of water leak out. Don't worry, just keep going, it will boil off and then it'll start to brown again. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a nice brown colour on that mince, and I'm going to transfer that to my pot. Right, so I'm going to repeat that with the rest of my mince, and then we'll get on with the next step. Right, so I've browned off my mince, and in that same pan, you want to add in your pancetta. Use the same pan because that's building up flavour right in there, and then what we're going to do is deglaze it with the red wine once we've kind of browned everything off. You just want to fry your pancetta until it's nice and crisp. Okay, so after a couple of minutes I've got my pancetta nice and crisp, and I'm just going to transfer that to my pot. Okay, keep some of that fat in there that's come out of the pancetta, because now we're going to chuck in our sofrito. As you can see, I've cut it nice and fine. You want to dice about the size of your small fingernail. That's kind of what you're looking for. Straight in, like so. And you want to turn the heat down to nice and low, because we don't want these to brown, we want these to soften and just kind of the onions to go a little bit translucent. Another tip for you as well, when slicing onions, right, to stop you getting tears and crying like a little baby, right, use a really sharp knife, because what happens is if you use a blunt knife, you're aggravating the membranes in the onions that release that kind of harsh vapour. So use a sharp knife and you have less chance of tears. So you want to cook this down for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, till they just start to go nice and soft. Okay, so after a couple of minutes, once it's sort of almost there, you just want to add in your garlic. Don't add this straight away because you run the risk of it catching on the bottom and burning. And again, leave it for another couple of minutes till they just start to go nice and soft. Okay, so after about 5-10 minutes, the onions, carrot and celery have gone a little bit soft. So you're going to add them to the pan as well. Put your pan, same pan, back on the heat, nice and high. And you want to add in your red wine. Now you just want to boil that until it reduces by half, because what that will do is it'll pick up all the bits from the bottom of the pan, anything, bits of flavour that are left in there as well, and then that can just go straight in the pan with the rest of the ingredients. Google, what's Italian for delicious red wine?
Vino rosso delizioso.
Ah, thank you.
Ti ringrazio.
No, I said thank you.
Non ho detto grazie.
We don't need to have a conversation about it, do we?
Avrebbe solo una conversazione su fare noi.
I don't like you anymore.
Di cosa stai parlando?
Ah, shut up. Right, so I've reduced my wine by half, and it's picked up all the sort of bits on the bottom of the pan. Get that straight in your pot as well. So now take your bay leaves, just scrunch them up a bit because that releases all the oils. Add in your passata, and then about 100 mils of water. You can always top it up as you go along, just keep an eye on it. If it dries out too much, just add a little bit more water and add in your nutmeg, some freshly ground black pepper, just pepper at this point, don't add any salt because there's quite a bit of salt in the pancetta, so taste it at the end and then adjust the seasoning as required. Give that a mix. Now you want to put that on a low heat for about 45 minutes to an hour. Just let it trickle away until it gets nice and reduced. It should be nice, thick, dense sauce. You don't want too much liquid in there. Yeah, so that's kind of it. So I'll see you in about 45 minutes. Okay, so it's been about an hour now and I've just let it sort of trickle over. As you can see, it's nice and thick and unctuous. There's not a lot of liquid in there. You don't want too much sauce because it makes it insipid and it won't cling to the pasta either. So you want to reduce it down to it's nice and thick and intense. So I'm just going to taste it for salt. Could do with just a little bit of salt. And I'm just going to add in a little trickle of olive oil, about half a tablespoon, something like that. And that'll just round it off and make it glossy and add that nice olive oil taste to it. So that'll quite happily sit there and cook away on a nice low heat. You know, can leave it a bit longer if you want. Leave it an hour and a half, 2 hours, even 3 hours if you just put it on low enough. And like most sort of meat-based stew dishes, this is better the next day as well. So you can quite happily freeze it up. Okay, so we're just going to leave that to simmer away to one side. And I'm just going to cook up some pasta and then we'll mix it together. Okay, so I've just got some pasta on here. You want to serve around about 100 grams per person, which is about 4 of these nests that you can get, this tagliatelle. This is dried tagliatelle. So yeah, that's kind of roughly what you need per person. Okay, right, so I've just boiled up my tagliatelle to packet instructions, and what I've done is I've just drained it and I've put it back in this pan because it's nice and warm. And what you want to do is just take a ladle full of your meat sauce and just add it straight to the pasta, just a sprinkling of Parmesan cheese, and then you want to mix it together. Okay, this is the mistake that people make as well, is they just kind of, they'll dump it all on top and then you've got bland pasta underneath and then this kind of meat sauce just dumped on the top. This is a better way of doing it because you get everything combined together. You want to serve that into your bowl and then just top with some more of that meat sauce. Then just finish off with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Well, this isn't freshly grated, but get the idea. And then just a trickle of olive oil. Now you can add some freshly chopped basil in there if you want. But this is kind of a basic meat ragu sauce, bolognese basically. So let's have a taste. So there we are then, bolognese. Pretty simple to make. Don't buy the jarred sauces, right? Because they're just they're full of all sorts of horrible ingredients, E numbers, and far too much sugar and salt. You know, this is healthier, it's delicious, and when you make it for other people, you look like you know what you're doing. So let's have a try. Whoa. It's rich, it's unctuous, and then occasionally you just kind of bite into that salty nugget of pancetta, which is really nice. And it's easy, it's so simple. I think a lot of people think of Italian food as complicated, and think, oh, I don't know how to make that. That looks too hard, I'll just buy a jarred sauce. And it's just not the case. Really isn't. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. Please give this one a go. Stop buying jarred sauces, right? They're just not worth it. They're rubbish. Make it yourself. And like I said, this will feed about 4, 5, even 6 people. And if you're like me, I live on my own, but that'll quite happily freeze. No problem at all. Just put it in some Ziploc bags, compress all the air out, stick it in the freezer, and it will reheat absolutely fine. In fact, it might even be a bit better because it's had time to sit and all those flavours kind of married together. So I'll leave all my social media links in the description below as per usual. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you like my videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.